In tonight's headlines, Attorney General donates law books to the prison, Police Department launches Operation ACT, and the CETA launches a new e-governance platform. These stories and more in this week's edition of Belize Now. Thanks for joining us on this Friday, November 3rd, 2017. I'm Miriam Longsworth. On Wednesday, November 1st, the Attorney General, Honorable Michael Perfit, donated a set of updated law books valued at over $5,000 to the Belize Central Prison. Janelle Rodriguez has this story.
Victor Hugo once said, "He who opens a school door closes a prison." But what about the 1,325 prisoners already locked behind the walls of the Belize Central Prison? Well, the Attorney General, Honorable Michael Perfit, found it necessary to open doors for education, particularly of the law, within the prison system. On Wednesday, November 1st, he donated a handsome set of updated law books valued over $5,000 to the Belize Central Prison. He shared with us what inspired the initiative.
When I was practicing defense attorney, I used to always come here, visit with the prisoners, and I always found it surprising that they didn't have a library, or in particular a law library, with so many prisoners on remand and so many people needing guidance. So when I became Attorney General and I had the access to some of the law books and that were available, I asked the finance officer if he could give me one of them so I could donate it to the prison.
Honorable Perfit further expressed his belief that prisoners can strive to live productively even under trying circumstances.
Not because you're in prison means you can't lead a productive life when you leave, or even for those who will be here for a long time, that they can immerse themselves in something that will be productive. So we felt it was very important for the laws that govern the country to be present everywhere, and especially in the prison. Because not because you're in prison you should be forgotten. That's my position, and so that's why I wanted to make that donation today to the prison.
Clinton Harris, remanded to prison since 2012 on charges of murder, is living proof of the Attorney General's belief that prisoners can lead productive lives.
Everything goes in the mind, I handle my remanded time mentally, physically, and spiritually. I have to motivate myself and find peace within myself to overcome any obstacles and any challenges that I face within these walls or that trouble me in society.
Harris, who also delivers lectures to other prisoners, told us how the donation will be beneficial to the prisoners and for life beyond incarceration.
It will help me to understand the law and how the law governs the nation and what I must be aware of and what I must be in tune to, because if I get to understand the law more, then I will know how to educate someone else, because when you receive the knowledge from the law, you does not hold it for yourself. Knowledge is beneficial when you pass it on to someone else so that they can be aware and so that they don't fall into the same trap. So it will be very beneficial, not just to me, but to everyone.
Virgilio Maria, CEO of the Belize Central Prison, said that it is a very timely donation and told us why it will significantly impact the prison.
I know this is going to go a very, very long way. I had always thought that the prison needs a law library. I know other prisons all over the world has a law library. It is a requirement by international standards and norms. And I'm very happy that we got this donation this morning. And I'm sure the prisoners are going to appreciate it very, very much, and they're going to make full use of it.
Maria further explains why education is an important part of the prison system.
It's all about trying to rebuild the person rather than just bring them down. A lot of people when they come to prison, they think it's the end of the world. Nelson Mandela, he inspires us quite a lot because he was a prisoner himself, not for shooting anybody or not for robbing anybody, but he was a prisoner nonetheless. And he himself says that prison itself is a tremendous education and a need for patience and perseverance. Above all, it's a test of one's commitment. And the commitment is commitment to change, commitment to be a better person when you return to society.
As a prisoner, Harris expressed how the donation is a huge step forward for the prison.
I feel like that is the best enchantment that was ever made and donated to Colby Foundation and give thanks to Mr. Perifit for the donation and Mr. Murillo to forward the application and receiving this donation, because and then it brings great awareness to every single one. It's a great revival that was done here today.
The donation, however, is not the end of the Attorney General's efforts to open doors to education within the prison. He told us about some other plans that are in the making.
We have already been in communication with the prison to try and have a legal aid officer come here at least once a week to advise the prisoners of their rights and responsibilities under the law, and to guide them wherever they need guidance. But as well to educate them on the law, to keep the laws updated. As you know, laws are dynamic, they're not static. They keep changing, they keep getting adjusted. So we want to ensure that the prison authorities and the prisoners themselves all have a full grasp of what the current law is in the country.
As quoted from Nelson Mandela, it is said that no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones. The efforts being made by the Attorney General and the administration of the Belize Central Prison goes to show that productivity should be held in high regard amongst all Belizeans. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Rodriguez.
On Friday, October 27th, the Belize Police Department launched a special anti-crime operation to address the growing climate of fear and crime in Belize City. Here's more.
ACT, Addressing Crime Together. This is the special code name for the anti-crime operation launched by the Belize Police Department. It gathers strategies aimed to target the growing climate of crime in Southside Belize City, particularly in the Port Loyola, Colette, and Lake Independence areas, which have seen a spike in gang shootings and murders. Commissioner of Police Alan Wiley explains how the operation aims to reduce criminal activity.
This operation will be targeting those gang members and leaders who are behind these shootings and murders, and will, amongst other things, maintain high visibility patrols in the affected and targeted areas. We will target, disrupt, and arrest known gang members and their leaders. We will proactively target individuals and groups engaged in the trafficking of illicit drugs, firearms, and ammunition. We will proactively target individuals and gangs involved and engaged in street-level guns and drug crime. And we will target known criminals through increased stop and search operations, as well as house searches.
To accomplish increased results, there is a need for increased efforts. Commissioner Wiley further explained that there will be a notably greater police presence on the ground.
In order to be successful in this operation and in order to have the numbers to be on the street, we have re-strategized and we will be going back into the 12-hour shift. Prior to making that determination, the officer in charge Southside had met with the majority of the police officers who work on Southside, and there was overwhelming support that we should revert back to the 12 hours system.
In addition to new policing strategies and increased police presence, the operation will also seek to de-escalate tensions between rival gangs through mediation and intervention efforts. ACP Chester Williams, intervention strategist, spoke more about the mediation strategy to reduce gang and gun violence.
It is basically an avenue that was created to ensure that young people who have conflict with each other, that they can come to a table to mediate. And we as mediators, we just facilitate the process. But you would know that in mediation for the most part must be voluntary, and those persons who are involved in mediation are normally the ones who find a solution to their problems. When they would come at a deadlock, then the mediator would come in and make suggestions, and that's one of the beauty about it.
ACP Williams further explained the process of mediation as a sort of criminal rehabilitation.
And in the process of mediation, what we also do is that once we see that a certain group or a certain individual is scaling down on their action, then the police kind of ease off them. It does not mean that the police will take focus away from them totally. You still have to ensure that you monitor them to a certain extent, because there'll be those who will play possum, pretend to be behaving themselves, but when you're not watching, they're doing something else. So we need to be careful how we deal with that at the same time.
Members of the Belize Police Department reassure the public that efforts are being made to ameliorate the climate of fear and crime in the city.
I do believe that the process of mediation, coupled with the strategic presence of the police on the ground, will help significantly to be able to alleviate the current crime trend on Southside Belize City. And that itself will yield success to the operation.
For the law-abiding citizens' comfort, every corner you turn, you will see police officers. And the criminal will be complaining that we're there in their face, too much harassing them and what have you.
We will be in their faces, we will be in their homes, and we will utilize all available laws to arrest them, to ameliorate the existing climate of fear in the affected areas.
As the old saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Operation ACT is one huge step to reducing crime in Belize. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Rodriguez.
After the break, more stories. Stay with us.
Every day when my daddy gets up to go to work, he says this is for me to have a better life. But I say, Daddy, we have a better life. Mommy don't have to leave home to wash my clothes anymore. We don't have to go all the way to a pump and back home to wash every bucket. No, Mommy just have to turn on the pipe and wash up and make we bathe as long as we want. Even the school teacher make we wash we hand the pipe instead of a nasty bucket like before. See, Daddy, life is better with water than life.
As the Belize National Fire Service is gearing up for their promotional training, they welcome the media to spend some time with their firefighters. Belize Now was present as well, and we prepared this report on what we learned. The flashing lights and blaring sirens as these large red trucks speed through the streets might come as a sort of excitement for some wandering eyes. And what's equally exciting are the challenges the members of the National Fire Service have to face. It was only a half day of demonstrations and explanations, but we still got a good picture of what it's like to be a firefighter. Fire Chief Ted Smith took us to where they call the watch room and explained what happens when they get notified of an emergency. It all starts with a phone call reporting an incident, and this leads to the sounding of an alarm.
That would alert the station completely. There's one upstairs, downstairs, so those upstairs can hear the alarm goes off as well. It alerts the entire station. On he sounding the alarm, all firefighters that is assigned a unit will then mount the unit. With the exception of the commanding officer for that unit. The commanding officer for the unit will come in here and find out what is the situation. If it's an emergency within his area of responsibility, he will deploy it. If it's a structural fire, he will deploy 2 units, station 2, and his unit will then immediately deploy to the location. If it's a brush fire, 1 unit will deploy based on where the brush fire is. The nearest unit to that brush fire will then be deployed.
What happens at the location of the fire is a rigorous process, and timing is everything for the department. Through a planned demonstration at the Yarborough Field in Belize City, the firefighters showed us just how important water, timing, and distance is to their job. They demonstrated how long it takes for a fire truck to exhaust its water supply. The fire chief explained.
The truck that you saw out here a short while ago demonstrating, has a capacity of 1,250 gallons worth water in its tank. The pump capacity or rating is 1,200 gallons per minute that the truck can discharge at 150 psi. We did two demonstrations, one with two branch pipes, two attack lines, delivery lines we use at the fire ground. Each branch pipe was discharging 95 gallons per minute, or for simplicity we would say 100 gallons per minute. So we were discharging 200 gallons per minute in the first demonstration. It takes the truck approximately 5 minutes to exhaust its tank of water. That on a fire ground would cause people to be excited and say the truck comes without water. But we do not carry unlimited supply of water in an emergency. We only carry what is in the tank.
For that reason, the fire service has put in place measures to provide supplementary water sources while the firefighting is occurring.
If you've ever been to a fire, when we arrive on the ground, usually we arrive with two trucks in Belize City and in most places. When we arrive on the ground, you will see only one truck goes into operation. The other truck would then connect itself to the truck that is doing the firefight. And what it will do, it will supply his tank of water to the truck that is doing the firefight, so that it can, when he exhausts his tank of water and break off to find supplementary supply, he would then leave the truck on the ground with a full tank of water.
When that happens, the truck with the empty tank goes to the nearest hydrant to refill. Depending on the distance, this could take some time, thus the reason for the second truck.
The first tank of water should then keep the fire under control, and the second tank of water, it was hoped, would reduce the fire magnitude even more based on the size of the fire when we arrive on the ground, allowing us time to return from the hydrant or from the open source or supplement the scene in different ways.
In the second demonstration, we were shown how the firefighters would handle a larger fire with more exposure at risk.
So a third line, attack line, was put in place. That attack line was designed to prevent the fire from spreading to the nearest structure that was at risk. Therefore, when we go into that operation, you see that it even takes 3 minutes, or just above 3 minutes, for that tank of water to be exhausted. So we do not have unlimited supply.
Fire Chief Ted Smith told us that all of this was done to inform the public that the fire trucks do not have an unlimited supply of water, and the firefighters indeed do all they can to control and extinguish fires.
This is to sensitize the public as to how the fire service works and how long the water lasts on the scene of a fire. Therefore, now, it becomes extremely crucial that the community, on the discovery of a fire, inform the fire department, the emergency services, as soon as possible.
To protect life and property. That's the motto of the National Fire Service. The firefighters told us that's also their motivation for what they do.
What motivates me is, like I said before, helping others. Fire is a very hard thing, especially after, so we try to be there as quick as possible to deal with the damage or to deal with the situation as fast and quick as possible.
At the time, need a job, everybody needs a job, but now it's different. As you have one role, you see what role you play in a society as a firefighter, go there and help people, protect lives and property. That's the main aim of our job.
My experience has been fairly good so far. I must say I've been to quite a number of fires, played many roles at those fires, including going in, supporting, everything you could imagine.
It's been an exciting experience, especially coming back to Belize City and train the recruits, teach people how to give them my knowledge that I don't learn already and stuff like that.
For Belize Now, I'm Miriam Longsworth. Stay tuned for more stories after the break.
Apply today. For more information, including scholarship opportunities, visit teachbelize.org.
The government of Belize, through its Central Information Technology Office, CETA, marked another major milestone in its journey to e-governance. Our Belize Now team was on hand for the launch on Thursday, November 2nd.
The Belize Electronic License and Permit System, BELAPS for short, is the government of Belize's newest technological advancement. The 5-year bilateral ICT project, which was partly funded by the Taiwanese government, will assist the government of Belize in enhancing the efficiency of its existing import and export license and permit issuing processes. Furthermore, since the system is linked to the Automated System for Customs Data, ASICUDA, it allows for the monitoring of import and export activities for the government, making way for more efficient and accurate collection of market and trade information. We asked the Chief Technology Officer in the Office of the Prime Minister, Michael Singh, what this means for the government.
We are embarking on a government-wide digitization program to take all the interactions, as many of them as we can, between the citizens and government and automating them. What we're doing today, what's being handed over, represents a major step in that direction because it's a cluster of trade-related services that we've now been able to automate for importers and exporters, or in general the whole business community, for them to be able to interact with agencies like Customs, Fisheries, BAHA, to get all their permitting done. So that has taken quite a lot off the plate of those agencies in respect to them not having to offer a frontline service in person, because it means that all these importers and exporters are able to interact digitally. They can get permits very, very quickly. It speeds up them doing business. It helps them in respect to record keeping. It helps them in respect to not having to deal with human errors, maybe human manipulation, those things. So this is a very big step towards our overall e-governance initiative.
In his remarks, the Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Patrick Faber, further emphasized that such initiatives also assist the government in its fight against corruption.
This will allow us in the government service to be more accountable and efficient. If you are a Belizean, or if you operate within the Belizean circles, you know that one of the biggest complaints about the government is that you get a lot of turnaround, that in fact sometimes you have to grease the right paws, you have to know the right people, you have to wait a long while for what seems to be very easy processes to happen. And with this kind of initiative, that kind of practice will be no more. At least it will be brought to a very, 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 very low rate.
The Supplies Control Unit of the Bureau of Standards was the first government department to make use of BELAPS. In fact, the Bureau's director, Jose Trejo, was instrumental in reaching the digital milestone for other trade-related departments.
Start for the BELAPS came about from an initial process within the Bureau of Standards. We have a responsibility to administrate Belize's import and export licensing regime. That has always been a manual system up until 2015, when we went from a hard copy to a soft copy system. So that system, as it is a system that was designed for the users to virtually interact with supplies control on a day-to-day basis to apply for licenses, both imports and exports. From that, and the success that we had with that, we thought it would be necessary to speak to all other government departments and entities that they themselves have manual systems in terms of application of licenses and permits. So we thought it would be a good thing for us.
Trejo spoke of the immediate benefits to the user.
The user can, at his own convenience, at any time of the day, log on to the system and apply for his or her permit. The beauty of this system is it's like a single window that all the departments that do interact with one another on a day-to-day basis, that person no longer has to go through a manual system where they have to physically go from one department to another with a hard copy of a document. Now that process is going to be done virtually, where the user can now interact with various government departments and ministries virtually. So that's the main benefit: time, the cost of doing business in terms of there's no physical need to come to Belmopan, as in our case. They now can, their own convenience in their own municipalities, their home or business, apply for a license. So that's the beauty of the system: cost and time and money.
Under the project, government officials were trained as administrators, approvers, and verifiers with roles of processing and auditing online processes. Additionally, 250 public users were trained to use the system, and among them was Tanya Neal, office manager at Rainforest Seafoods, a company located in southern Belize. Neal shared her experience of doing business using BELAPS.
It facilitates the process a little faster. Usually when you do it manually, it takes about 2 days before you have to submit your application, at least 2 days before you get a reply. Now that we're doing it online, it can be as quick as you can get back a response in about 15 minutes, half an hour or so. To make payments, we had to travel. Now there's where you can pay by credit card, and that makes the process even faster. Before you have to probably catch a plane or so, because of our location, we had to catch a plane and come all the way, let's say, to Fisheries Department to make a payment. Now we can do that online.
Users can select from over 2,000 import and export products within 24 different licenses and permits from different departments, and are also able to make payments online via credit card or via Treasury departments countrywide. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Mencias.
The BELAPS project is valued at $1.8 million, of which the Taiwanese government provided $1.5 million. The ICT partnership will continue through the Motor Vehicle Registration and License System project. Belize's Minister of Transport and National Emergency Management, Honorable Edmund Castro, in the presence of Mexico's ambassador to Belize, His Excellency Carlos Quesnel Melendez, signed a Memorandum of Understanding on international motor carrier, passenger, and freight transportation between the Government of Belize and the Government of the United Mexican States. Discussions on the Memorandum of Understanding commenced in February of this year, when Honorable Castro and Ambassador Quesnel Melendez held an initial meeting in Belmopan. That was followed by another meeting with executives and technical staff from both governments. And that's it for this edition of Belize Now. If you would like to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at info@pressoffice.gov.bz or visit our Facebook page and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week until next time.